Hello there guys and welcome to this weekend's action of IFMC Indycar for round 4 of the championship. I'm JWF1 and we are here at the Texas Motor Speedway here at East Fort, Texas. I think it's the city is, for round 4 of the championship, the second oval race of the season. If you didn't see what happened last weekend at the ISM Raceway, it was a very entertaining race, a race of 2 horse really due to the red flag. In the end, JR Hildebrand managed to pick up his first ever IFMC Indycar win, followed by, in second place, in fact, who was second? I can't remember. Well, that's not really. JR Hildebrand won the race, and as a result, he moves into a tied lead in the Drivers' Championship. As a result, I think the man in second place is Scott Dixon in the Eldorado that is tied with him, but of course, JR Hildebrand has had a win this season, whereas Scott Dixon hasn't. Eldorado still yet to get a victory in IFMC IndyCar, and hopefully we'll be in for a good weekend here in Texas. It was a very good race last season as well, which saw Ed Carpenter won here in the Target Andy Graham Racer car, when Target Andy Graham had Honda engines, of course, but of course they have Chevy engines now, and of course Ed Carpenter is no longer in the team. The man that replaced him, of course, is Joseph Newgarden. Will he try and replicate what Ed Carpenter did last season? Well, only time will tell. We've got bright and sunny conditions as per usual here at the Texas Motor Speedway, and hopefully it should be a very fascinating qualifying session indeed then. So, without further ado then, let's get on to the qualifying session for tomorrow's race. And of course, there's no qualifying bans to report on, so everybody will take to the track as per usual. Here we are in the pit lane, and we're going to go to the end of the pit lane with, who we're going to be in the pit lane with, it looks like Tony Kanaan. So we will wait and get the session underway. A 35-minute session. Who's going to be the first man to get out onto the track and set a benchmark of time really here at Texas Motor Speedway. Of course, we came here for the oval preseason test a month ago now, I should say, but we're now here for the main championship itself. 248 laps approaches tomorrow, and I know very specific laps, I must say, for a track. I don't know why it's 248 laps in real life, but anyway, we've got some pit activity in the form of James Hinchcliffe in the Martini. James Hinchcliffe out on the track. He's so far having a very good year at Martini, as he's now out on the track for the Martini team. Also on the track we have Ryan Hunter-Ray for E-Power, Max Chilton out there as well. We also have Joseph Newgarden coming out on the track. We'll also have Tony Kanaan join us, Simon Pagenaud, Marco Andretti, Scott Dixon, Robert Wickens, Felix Rosenquist, JR Hildebrand, the new championship leader, Takuma Sato, and Will Power. They're the guys who are going to be out there this time. Bias Hinch, as the mayor of Hinchtown, is about to start a lap now then, as he comes down the pit straight, heading down towards the first bank corner now then. He'll be hoping that that EMR, I think, that's coming out of the pits doesn't impede him, and luckily it does not. That is Helio Castroneves in the EMR. Actually got a good points finish last time out at ISM Raceway, but still a lot of work to do for EMR if they want to retain both championships this season. It's not been a good start for them, it must be said, in the defence of both of their championships. But now Hinchcliffe coming around the final banking now then, as he will approach the start finish line. What's the benchmark of time going to be? It's a 27.552, so that's that for him really. Ryan Hunter-Ray beats him to go fastest for the moment. Here is JR Hildebrand to start a lap as Chilton goes fastest himself. So Max Chilton P1 for the moment, as we look at Joseph Newgarden. What can he manage in a tight Andy Graham car? He now goes fastest. Newgarden to the top as Power starts the lap, as does Rosenquist. Tony Kanaan across the line he goes. What can he manage? He goes 5th fastest for the moment as Andretti starts the lap. Looked like he got held up on his lap there then, as somebody crossed the line there then. It was Helio Castroneves who goes into 5th. It's 3rd for championship leader JR Hildebrand as Sato goes fastest. So Sato took pole position last weekend, goes to the top. Robert Wickens goes 9th. Simon Pagenaud to 5th place there then. Here comes Scott Dixon across the line. He goes 6th fastest in the Eldorado. His teammate, what can he manage? He goes only 10th. With that lap, it's P9 for Felix Rosenquist. A good time for him there then. Here comes Marco Andretti in the adrenaline car. It's P10 for him. So that's that for him. As at the moment, then, it is currently Takuma Sato that is fastest at the moment. He took pole last weekend at ISM Raceway. Is he looking for a second pole position in a row? Well, we'll have to wait and see on that. But Sato in the pits now then. The top 5 looks like this then. It's Sato from Newgarden, Hildebrand, Chilton and Pagenaud. That's how it looks. The top 5 only separated by 0.3 of a second. So very close indeed, it must be said, as we wait for another set of cars to come out. And just like at the ISM Raceway last weekend, we should expect maybe qualifying to finish pretty early, because it is an oval track and their laps usually finish pretty quickly, it must be said. So we've got somebody going back into the pits. I thought they were going out on the track. And I think Newgarden is actually waiting to go back out, in fact. So we will be seeing Joseph Newgarden again in a little bit. So there's nobody on the track at the moment, but we have some pit activity. Graham Rahal is coming out on the track for Martini Energia. Here he comes. Graham Rahal now then coming out on the track. Martini having a splendid year so far, it must be said. Both drivers putting in a stunning job this season as well, especially James Hinchcliffe, who of course got his first ever victory at Daytona a couple of weeks ago. And they've just been continuing to add some more points to their points account since. And a good result for them last weekend at ISM Raceway. Hoping to continue that progress here at Texas. As Ray Hall out on the track, about to start a lap. Defending champion Sebastian Bourdais, the only man still yet to score points this season. It's been 3 races and he retired from all 3 of them. It's not been a good start for the defending champion Bourdais out on the track. JR Hildebrand, the current championship leader, out on track. Fernando Alonso out there as well, as is Pietro Fittipaldi, Alexander Rossi, Ed Jones. Graham Rahal starts the lap and it looks like Jones is going to hold him up on his first flying lap. Montoya comes out there as well. We'll also be expecting Newgarden, Cachaneves, Canan, Hunter-Reay, Chavez and Chilton to join these guys as well. Let's get to Graham Rahal. He got past Jones, but how much do you think he's going to get impeded? Well, let's see now then as Rahal goes down the straight now then, and he's going to cross the line and he goes 13th, so got held up a tad bit, it must be said. So we now look at Sebastian Bourdais. Bourdais is going to cross the line to go only 13th with that lap. Not a good time from Bourdais, it must be said. Here is JR Hildebrand, who's up on his personal best in the middle sector by 300th of a second. Can he possibly try and challenge Sato at the top? Hildebrand crosses the line and he goes up to 2nd, so he gets up to the front row there then, as Alonso goes 3rd. A good time from Alonso. P3 for the 3-time IFMC champion. His teammate has just started a lap. He's currently in 8th place at the minute. Canan just goes out on the track. 16th for Pietro Fittipaldi at this stage then of qualifying. 14th for Alexander Rossi. 20th only for Ed Jones, so not a good time for him. Montoya goes 9th. A good time from him, as now we look at Ryan Hunter-Reay, who's up on his personal best in the middle sector. Can it spurt him up a few places? Ryan Hunter-Reay crosses the line and he goes 6th fastest, so he's 3 places behind teammate Alonso. It's P6 for Ryan Hunter-Reay, as it's still 4th for Joseph Newgarden. No improvement, still 13th for Cachaneves, on a good time from him there then at this stage. As we now look at Max Chilton, who's up on his personal best in the middle sector, 200s up. The man who's currently in 6th place in the moment, can he improve on that? Chilton, he's going to cross the line and he remains 6th but improves on his best time at this stage of qualifying. As we now look at Tony Canan, who is way up on his personal best. And Canan, can he find some improvement? He does. He goes up to 7th for that lap. So P7 for Tony Canan there then. And so a very good time from him at this stage. Both SIC cars 6th and 7th at this stage. So clearly both of them very suited to the oval track, it must be said. As Chilton went back in, Canan should be joining him in a little bit. It's James Hinchcliffe comes out on the track, but it's still Takuma Sato that is currently fastest in this qualifying session as he looks for pole position number 2 of the season. He's the most successful pole sitter in IFMC Indycar history, and if he takes pole today, he will increase that gap a little bit more to the man who's got the second most pole positions, which I think is quite a couple of drivers, but we will see on that. But Hinchcliffe now then back out on the track, looking to try and see if he can get his car a little bit further than 12th at this stage. Scott Dixon out there as well, as is Felix Rosenquist. Will Power out there as well. Simon Pagenaud, Takuma Sato, the current pole sitter. Robert Wickens out there as well. As Hinchcliffe starts a lap, he'll be hoping his fellow compatriot doesn't hold him up as the 2 Canadians go side by side around that first banking there then. Alonso, Rahal, Chavez, Fittipaldi, Jones and Montoya expected to come out. We also have Rosenquist out there and Power and Pagenaud, as we mentioned before. We now look at Hinchcliffe, who's 17 thousandths off in the middle sector. Clearly Wickens did some damage on his lap, it must be said, but let's see if we can try and pull that back in the last sector. Across the line and he remains in 12th position, so no improvement there then for James Hinchcliffe. As we now look at Dixon, who's up on his personal best in the middle sector by 400s. Can he get higher than 10th place? Across the line and he goes up to 7th, so he gets in front of Canan. That's P7 for Scott Dixon in the Eldorado. Alonso going back out onto the track. Up into 8th place goes Felix Rosenquist, a big improvement for him there, so that's P8 for the Swede. As it's still 17th for Power, so he's struggling again around the oval circuits, must be said. He struggled last season as well. And Robert Wickens now then across the line remains in 21st, so he's struggling around these tracks. Maybe some of it could be down to Rahal, who could get held up by him in a little bit. As Marco Andretti, his teammate, remains 14th but improves on his best time. Alonso about to start a lap as we've lost the sound for some reason, but Jones is up in the middle sector as now we've got the sound back up. Jones across the line, but only good enough for 18th place. So not a good time there then for Ed Jones, the former championship leader. So we looked at Ray Hall there, and he remains 21st. So he's struggling at the moment. Clearly Wickens held him up on his lap there then, because I think he probably would have been on a quicker lap had that been the case. Still 10th for Montoya at the moment. So now we look at hopefully trying to find some more cars out on the track. That will be Pietro Fittipaldi, who's on a lap 1,000 up on his personal best in the first sector there then. Quickly approaching the second sector as Fittipaldi, the man who nearly won last time out in ISM Raceway. Had it not been for the red flag, I'm sure Fittipaldi would probably have won that race. But Fittipaldi now then looking for a redemption here in Texas. He's going to cross the line. Can he improve on 20th? And only improves on his time. So Fittipaldi clearly not suited to this Texas track compared to ISM Raceway. Clearly not keen on the fast ovals than the slow ovals that we were on last weekend. As Gabby Chavez, his teammate, is up in 5th place, down on his personal best in the middle sector. Chavez now then just going around the bank. And let's see if Chavez can find some time to improve. His sparks going off the back of his Macamo car and the Honda-powered Macamo. Can he find some time in the last sector? He can't. Remains in 5th for the moment and currently rounding out the top 5 at this stage. Alexander Rossi and Joseph Newgarden are currently out on the track, as is defending champion Sebastian Bourdais, who's so far struggling in this qualifying session. Rossi about to start a lap in the Fantari. Desperately needs to kick up the rear if he wants to be in the championship scrap, because the last 2 races have been quite disappointing for Rossi, it must be said. As now he just goes around turns 1 and 2 on the track now then. As the sparks come off the back of his Fantari, trying to get up close to the wall as possible. As now we come up towards the next banking on the track. Around the left-hander we go. And Rossi now then is going to soon come across the line a little bit to complete his lap, heading down the straight, and Alexander Rossi is going to cross the line. Is this going to be an improvement? It is. He goes up to 12th. Still outside the top 10, but a big improvement for Alexander Rossi there then to get up into 12th, just outside the top 10 at this stage. Joseph Newgarden remains 6th with that lap. Ryan Hunter-Reay starts lap. He's down in 13th, way off the pace of teammate Alonso at the moment, as Rosenquist starts lap. Bourdais only up to 18th with his improvements, so maybe Rosenquist held him up. Maybe there's a little bit more to come from the defending champion, who knows really. But J.R. Hildebrand starts a lap. A few cars on a flying lap, it must be said, as we try and find somebody. Ryan Hunter-Reay is going to cross the line. Can this be an improvement for him? It is. He goes up to 4th. He's on the same row as his teammates. So Hunter-Reay, a brilliant improvement to go up into 4th place there then. A massive improvement for the American, as Rosenquist remains in 10th position. And what about the guy who was behind him? Was there somebody behind him? James Hinchcliffe just coming out on the track. Sato's on a lap and his lap might get compromised, and it does look like it. He's had to lift off the throttle a little bit to allow Hinchcliffe through. Still 2nd for J.R. Hildebrand, no improvement for him. Still 8th for Max Chilton. And so that's that. Here comes Simon Pagenaud, who's currently 3rd at the moment. In fact, Hunter-Reay's actually out-qualified Alonso. I thought Alonso was still in 3rd, but either way, an improvement for Pagenaud, remains in 3rd place. I think Alonso might be in 5th, maybe, behind Hunter-Reay. So far, Hunter-Reay is actually outpacing Alonso at this stage. As Takuma Sato doesn't improve, got way held up, and remains on his current fastest pole time at the present stage. There's a few more cars about to start a lap as Pagenaud goes into the pits. Here comes James Hinchcliffe in the Martini, and he's 1/10 up on his personal best in the middle sector. So Hinchcliffe is on a mega lap at this stage. He's now coming down towards the start finish line now then. Hinchcliffe across the line, and he goes up to 7th. So P7 for James Hinchcliffe. A big improvement there then for the Canadian, the mayor of Hinchtown, going up into 7th place and looking like he could be a championship contender this season. No improvement for Power. He's still struggling this season, must be said. Down in 17th here in the ovals. Wickens about to start a lap, desperate to get out of that dreaded last place. Here's his teammate, who's just started a lap himself. As Hinchcliffe goes back in the pits. Dixon about to start a lap. As now we look at Wickens, who's 8,000s up in the first sector. He will now approach the second sector very soon. Around this next banking he goes. And let's see what Robert Wickens can do on this lap, as he will soon approach the start-finish line. Wickens now then across the line he will go. Is this an improvement? And it is, but he remains in last place. So he seems to have lost some time in the last sector, and still a bit to do if he wants to get out of that dreaded position. His teammate remains 15th at the moment. Marco Andretti still 15th at this stage, as Dixon down on his personal best, currently in the cusp of the top 10, and he remains 10th with that lap. Still 10th then for Scott Dixon. Alonso, who's currently 5th, a place behind Ryan Hunter-Ray, about to start a lap. As now Pietro Fittipaldi also joins him on the lap himself. As now we look at Alonso. In fact, I think he was the next one to start a lap. I wonder if Bourdais may have had an interference in his lap there. He might have done actually, because Alonso's 19 thousandths off his personal best in the first sector there. Then, unless Alonso can gather the time, it looks like Alonso will be staying in 5th on this lap now. Then, as he just makes his way around the banking now, then he will go. As he just heads down this straight, Alonso across the line he goes, and he's 400 off his personal best and remains in 5th place. He's only got one more flying lap to complete as Bourdais starts a lap. As up into 16th goes Pietro Fittipaldi. He's struggling around this time, but around this track, but appears to be find some time to improve at this stage. But still not great for him at this stage. Ed Jones across the line remains in 20th. Montoya is just going to pass him. He's about to start a lap. As Newgarden on his final flying lap goes up to 8th. So an improvement there then for Newgarden. That's P8 for Joseph Newgarden in the Tiger Andy Graham racing car. And he's desperate to try and pick up some more points after what has been so far a disappointing start to the season for him. Bourdais remains 19th. He's still struggling around this track. Still 15th for Alexander Rossi as Graham Rahal gets up to 10th. So pushes Dixon down to 11th. A big improvement for Graham Rahal. So he's now into the top 10 himself. As it's still 6th for Gabby Chavez. So Gabby Chavez remains where he is at this stage as Montoya goes up to 7th. So a big improvement for Montoya. That's P7 for the Colombian. So still in 7th. So up into 7th place goes Juan Pablo Montoya in the Red Rose Racing car. Clearly doing well on ovals just like he did last season, it must be said. And so there we are really as Castaneves is about to start a lap. Doesn't appear like anybody else is currently on a lap at this stage as Castaneves going in towards the first banking on the track. As we have just over 21 minutes left in this session to determine the grid for tomorrow's race here at Texas Motor Speedway, the second oval race of the season for 248 laps. As now up towards the second banking we will go. Sparks coming off the back of the EMR driver. Castaneves obviously having a better year than Bourdais so far because Bourdais is still yet to score a point. Castaneves now then is going to cross the line. Can he improve on his 18th place? And no, he can't. It's so far, it's a disappointing session for Castaneves. Only 18th for the EMR driver. And with Bourdais down in 19th, there could be a lot of work to do for them. Hildebrand remains 2nd. No improvement for him. Still 4th for Hunter-Ray. No improvement on his final flying lap. And so that's that really. Simon Pagenaud about to start a lap. As now we look at, we'll have to look at possibly Pagenaud who's on a lap, or we're looking at Chilton. In fact, Chilton in front is currently on a lap, but he's 9/10 down in the second sector, and there's why. Power clearly getting in the way there of his final flying lap, and that might affect Chilton any chance of getting further up the grid. He's currently in the cusp of the top 10. And looking to try and improve if he can. He qualified, I think, in 5th last weekend at ISM Raceway, but it doesn't look like it's going to be any higher this weekend. Chilton crosses the line, remains in 10th. Clearly, Power had a part to play in that as he starts a lap. Still 3rd for Simon Pagenaud, no improvement for him, but a top 3 start. Looking very good for the Frenchman. Dixon about to start a lap as his current pole sitter Takuma Sato. Rosenquist up on his personal best in the middle sector. Can he improve on 13th place? Teammate Montoya currently out qualifying him at this stage. Can he rewrite the script? No, he only gains 1 place. He goes up to 12th, but still being outpaced by Montoya. As up into 4th goes James Hinchcliffe. So he pushes Hinchcliffe down to 5th. Looks like both E-Power cars are looking out row 3. As up into 4th place goes James Hinchcliffe in the Martini. As it's still 14th for Tony Kanaan. So Max Chilton outpacing him in this session. Only 19th for Will Power. Disappointing for him. And it looks like Bourdais might be pushed down to 20th, I think. So disappointing for him. Still 13th. For Scott Dixon, so both Eldorados are getting qualifying outside the top 10. Clearly the oval's still not suiting the team just like last season, it must be said, as it's still 19th for Robert Wickens. In fact, he goes up to 19th, so he pushes Power down to 20th. So Power with a lot more work to do. Does that put Bourdais on the back row of the grid? That's what I want to know. As Fittipaldi there starts a lap. As Taku didn't improve on his time and still currently on pole position and with a 27.105, and looks like it's going to be 2 in a row for Sato at this stage. Pietro Fittipaldi 2/10 down, sorry, I think he said 200 down on his personal best in the middle sector there. Then Fittipaldi Coming up towards the start-finish line, can he find some time in the last sector? And no, he can't. A disappointing 17th place for Pietro Fittipaldi. A lot of work to do for the young Brazilian. Tomorrow, the grandson of two-time Formula 1 world champion Emerson Fittipaldi. Graham Rahal crosses the line and he remains 11th. So not bad, but he probably would have preferred to be in the top 10 with his teammate up in 4th. Alonso starts his final flying lap himself, looking to try and see if he can possibly try and get in the mix at the front. So far, the two E-Power cars looking like they're going to be locking out row 3 as Ed Jones, who's currently last at the moment, and Body is on the back row and he's coming back out. So they're desperate to improve the guys on the back row at this stage. Here's Alonso, and he's 19 thousandths down in the second sector, so it doesn't look like Alonso's going to be on for an improvement, but let's see. Alonso is going to cross the line. Can the E-Power find some time in the last sector? And no, he can't. It's a 6th place start for Alonso. Hunter Ray out-qualifies him, I think, for the first time this season, if I'm not mistaken. So that's that really. 19th for Ed Jones, so he gets out of last place. That pushes Bourdais down to last. The defending champion currently last at the moment. Still 7th for Gabby Chavez. Bourdais desperate to improve. Starts his lap now then, as does Alexander Rossi. Montoya about to start a lap in a little bit. As we now look at Bourdais, he's just coming around the banking. He's desperate to get out of that last place at this stage now then. And could the defending champion be starting last tomorrow? That is the big question. Clearly not up to speed around here at the Texas Motor Speedway. He did struggle here in preseason testing a month ago as well, but it seems that might have transferred over here unless this lap can change it. Bourdais across the line, and it's last place for the defending champion. Sebastian Bourdais is 22nd on the grid. Still 15th for Alexander Rossi, but Sebastian Bourdais, the defending champion, will be starting all the way down in last place. A lot of work to do for him tomorrow. Still 8th for Juan Pablo Montoya. And that is going to do it. Everybody has finished their laps. I did predict it would finish early. But after all of that, for the second weekend in a row, it is Takuma Sato who takes pole position here at Texas Motor Speedway. It's 2 in a row for the Japanese driver. And that's 3 out of 4 pole positions for Fantari Racing. Fantari are definitely dominating qualifying this season, it must be said. 3 out of 4 poles for Fantari Racing. But can Sato convert it into a win this time? Unlike last weekend at ISM Raceway, as Sato looks to try and get, I think it is his 2nd career victory, or his 3rd career victory, I'm not 100% sure. Because I think he did win a race last season, as they all now come back into the pits. So we will be fast forwarding it once it cuts to a generic view like this one then. So we're now going to accelerate the time because nobody can complete any more laps. And there we have it then. It is Sato on pole position by 0.2 of a second. A very good qualifying session for the Japanese driver. So there you have it then, guys. After all of that, here is the results of the qualifying session here at Texas Motor Speedway. It is Takuma Sato who takes pole position with Simon Pagenaud up in 2nd place actually. Now, I may have to double check that. We'll have to wait and see, but he must have got up into 2nd place. It's Takuma Sato 1st, Simon Pagenaud in 2nd place, J.R. Hildebrand 3rd, James Hinchcliffe 4th, Ryan Hunter-Reay 5th, Fernando Alonso in 6th, with Gabby Chavez 7th, Juan Pablo Montoya 8th, Joseph Newgarden 9th, Max Chilton in 10th, with Graham Rahal 11th, Felix Rosenquist in 12th, Scott Dixon in 13th, with Tony Kanaan in 14th position. And if we scroll down the rest of the field, it is Alexander Rossi 15th, Marco Andretti 16th, Pietro Fittipaldi 17th, followed by Helio Castroneves in 18th, Ed Jones in 19th, and then it is Robert Wickens in 20th, Will Power in 21st, with Sebastian Bourdais in 22nd and last. So there you have it then, guys. That is the grid for tomorrow's race here at the Texas Motor Speedway. And I hope you enjoyed this qualifying session. It is a very interesting grid. Sebastian Bourdais, the defending champion, with a lot to do down at the back, with the whole pack separated by 0.6 of a second. Very close indeed. But there you have it then, guys. That has been it for the qualifying session here at Texas Motor Speedway. Hope you enjoyed it. Been a very exciting qualifying session, and hopefully we'll have a very exciting race indeed. But until then, guys, that has been it. I hope you enjoyed it. We will see you then, guys, tomorrow at a later time of 3:30 PM BST due to the F1 race at Singapore for the 248 lap race here at Texas Motor Speedway. But until then, guys, that has been it. I hope you enjoyed it. So thank you very much for watching. I'm in JWF1, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for the race here at Texas Motor Speedway. Till then, take care.